At an early morning rally outside a UPS facility, the leader of the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, didn't pull any punches in the City of Angels.
We are going to be the example on how it is to fight and take on a schoolyard bully.
The union representing UPS workers have decided to take on the schoolyard bully, and it appears that they have won. So UPS and the International Brotherhood of Teamsters has announced a tentative collective bargaining agreement mere days before their current contract was set to expire. Now, failure to reach the contract by August 1st would have resulted in some 340,000 UPS workers entering a strike. And for now, it appears that that is unlikely to happen because they have reached this tentative agreement. Now, details are still coming out, but we do have some preliminary information about this, including what the workers were able to secure through these negotiations, which, by the way, in July had broken down. But luckily, they were able to go back to the table and negotiate and come up with an agreement that I think both sides, as far as we can tell at the moment, seem to agree on. So the new deal includes higher wages for the Teamsters workers, air conditioning in trucks, and an agreement to hire 30,000 new drivers, which is critical considering one of the complaints was forced overtime or mandatory overtime. Now, with a tentative agreement in place, work will continue as that contract is voted on by union members next month. So we'll see what the outcome of that vote is. But a few more details for you. One of the sticking points, as you guys might have remembered from my interview with Sean Orr just a few months ago, was the two-tiered pay system in the current contract. They wanted to do away with that. The union railed against a two-tier wage system where part-time drivers make significantly less money per hour than full-time drivers. The groups agreed to eliminate that two-tier system, Teamsters said, and agreed to raises for both part-time and full-time drivers. And it appears that these raises are significant. So let me give you the numbers as it stands right now. Workers will get a $2.75 per hour raise this year and a $7.50 raise more per hour by the end of the contract, Teamsters said. The wage minimum for part-timers will also rise to $21 per hour. The union said the average part-time driver will receive a 45% raise by the end of the contract. And then just going back to the point I was making about how UPS has agreed to hire more workers, that is in fact one of the provisions here. The agreement also promises that UPS will create 7,500 new Teamsters jobs and fill 22,500 job vacancies. So Cenk, really good news, and it kind of shows you what happens when collective bargaining is allowed to take place and workers are given a seat at the table.
100%. Look, this is as good a deal as you could possibly hope for. Sean O'Brien and the Teamsters nailed it. They got almost everything they asked for. The top pay for the UPS drivers, not the part-time workers, but the full-time workers, is $49 an hour. That comes out to almost $100,000 a year. Nice job. And so can UPS afford it? Yes. In the last 12 months and also for the calendar year 2022, it's about the same, similar number, about $11 billion in profits, not revenue, profits, okay? So $11 billion to pay for a lot of workers, and what this does is it just helps the workers share a tiny bit more in that $11 billion in profit. It doesn't mean that UPS isn't gonna make a profit. This is not their profit, it's not cut in half, it's not cut by 3, none of that. It just, hey, let's be fair to our workers while we're celebrating incredible treasure trove of profits at UPS. And I'll say something that probably almost no one else is saying, give credit to UPS too. They could have hauled out longer, they could have demanded to cut some of these demands, but no, they gave the Teamsters pretty much everything they wanted, and they're sharing in those profits. So yeah, they got forced into it. They almost went to a strike, but at least they realized the strike would be devastating, and they did give them a very good deal.
Well, I don't know how much credit I want to give to UPS. I actually, in this rare instance, want to give congressional Democrats a little bit of credit, because what actually ended up happening was congressional Democrats let UPS know, we're not going to intervene. Similar to how they intervened with the rail workers strike. And to be fair to the Biden administration, they continued to negotiate for paid time off on behalf of the rail workers after they intervened to prevent that strike from happening. Just want to give you the full story on that. But in this particular case, it had become pretty clear to UPS that congressional Democrats were not going to intervene to prevent the strike from taking place.
Okay, can I just say,
Yeah.
Look at how perverse our world is, that the union has to beg the congressional Democrats, who they, by the way, fund, to not screw them over.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But this is why I give Sean O'Brien so much credit, the head of the Teamsters. So he got elected because people were annoyed and had had enough with old labor leaders working with the giant corporations and getting very cozy with them. So they got Sean O'Brien to go, no, we're gonna fight the big guys and we're gonna fight them hard. And look at the spectacular payoff. One of the things that Sean O'Brien did in this particular case was he went to Biden and basically said, you better not. If you even talk about intervening, it's gonna hurt our leverage. So do not do that. And somehow he got through to Biden, probably, I mean, look, some degree of contributions, I'm sure, but unions give tons and tons of contributions to Democrats and have for the last 40, 50 years and get zero for it 9 out of 10 times. Like they'll, in fact, Biden, like in the rail workers, yes, he was better afterwards, but initially sided with the companies,
right.
No matter how much money he got from the unions, because they always get more money from the companies than they do the unions.
No, Sean O'Brien deserves a lot of credit because not only did he make that message clear to the Biden administrations, his participation in those congressional hearings was critical because he demonstrated that he is a fighter and he's unwilling to back down. And I think that show of strength really resonated with members of Congress. And honestly, especially Democratic members of Congress, right? They still want to parade as the party that looks out for the little guy, for the blue collar workers. But when push comes to shove, when people aren't paying attention, they tend to side with their corporate donors, unless they know they're going to pay the political consequences of doing so. With someone like Sean O'Brien, he wasn't just gonna sit back and be quiet if congressional Democrats got involved, intervened and prevented that strike from happening or did away with the leverage that the Teamsters had in this case. So a fighter in this particular case, I think made all the difference.
So guys, the reason why we're going ballistic about how great all of this is and what a great job the Teamsters did is number one, because this is as good a deal as I have seen in my lifetime of covering politics in America for labor, because labor had just been getting mauled for the last 25 years, right? So, I mean, look, they got AC in the trucks, which to all of us decent, sane human beings should be the bare minimum, but they didn't have them. So like, as we have record temperatures over 110 degrees in Phoenix for 3 weeks straight, etc., they don't have air conditioning in cars. So that air conditioning is not a little thing for those drivers. It's a huge part of maintaining their humanity and dignity, right? They also dealt with the cameras inside the cars that's pointing at the drivers at all times. I mean, they got everything, and that's awesome. But the second reason we're making such a big deal out of it is because for 20 years on the Young Turks, we've been saying Democrats need to fight. Progressives, left wing needs to fight, to be passionate, to be strong. And it is not to vent, it is not to be emotional, it is strategic. Because the more you fight, the more you gain. And what we heard was a wall of lies from mainstream media and corporate Democrats going, no, civility. You just bow your head and you do whatever management and giant corporations and powerful people tell you. Well, there was always a lie. It was always a lie. And so you just get one guy like Sean O'Brien to go, no, I don't believe your lie. I don't think civility's the right answer when we're union, when we're Teamsters. No, the correct answer is I come to kick your ass if you don't do what I tell you. But at the end, balance, practical, they got what they wanted and they got a contract.
And look,
perfect.
It's not just our spin on this. It appears that even the Teamsters General Secretary Treasurer in his statement showed great support for this preliminary agreement. This is Fred Zuckerman, who said, quote, "In my more than 40 years in Louisville representing members at Worldport, the largest UPS hub in the country, I have never seen a national contract that levels the playing field for workers so dramatically as this one." So just a complete win. I'm very, very happy to hear it and to see it. We'll update you if there are any hiccups along the way. As I mentioned, just next month, the workers will vote on that contract. And based on what we're seeing, it appears that they are very likely to support it and vote in favor of it. But we'll update you as we learn more. Cenk.
And look, guys, we've got credibility here because you go back and look at our videos, and I'll show you tons of videos where we criticize labor leaders. Because a lot of people just do things based on money. We don't get paid by the unions at all. We got no dog in that fight, okay? Other than we care about the average American worker, and that's our ethos. That's what we believe in, right? And so when union leaders kept disappointing their workers, we criticize them, and oftentimes harshly. And people are like, oh, you're on the left, you can't criticize unions. No, there's a difference between unions and union leaders. A giant difference. There's a difference between Democratic voters and Democratic politicians, okay? So yes, we criticize a lot. Now look, they deliver, and what do? Credit where credit is due. Fantastic job of sticking up for your workers. And the last reason why this is great news is because it gives a little bit of hope to the country, man.
Yes.
I mean, the corporate machines have been grinding us up and spitting us out. And all of our politicians are so corrupt, so drowning in corporate money. And the media is like, oh, I don't see it, I don't see it, I don't see it. No, corporations are awesome, status quo is awesome. So in that heat, in that crucible of gaslighting and pressure and lies, for this to break out as a ray of hope makes a giant difference. Way to go, Teamsters. Now everybody learn from this and fight forward. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.